I'm Natasha. I am the vocalist for Animus.
My name is Clides. I am the singer and guitarist of Skies of Terra.
My name is Fernando, and I own Ambriek Creations, and I do photography, cinematography, so music videos, recaps. Oh, love music videos, short films, documentaries.
My name is Lowe. I am the vocalist, lyricist for the band Everyone Hates Everything.
So I have struggled with depression since I was about, I would say like 15. Depression, anxiety. I started to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder as well. That's an ongoing process. It's not a seasonal thing. It is with me all the time. I would say that it does get worse in the dark months, as I like to call them, and unfortunately all of our holidays that are big family gathering times fall around that time period. So it's a lot of having to put on that mask and work together for your kids and family.
I have always suffered with depression, anxiety. It's always sort of been very prevalent in my family, in my history, in my group. More so recently, after my father passed when I was 25, I started experiencing PTSD, and that was definitely a different time for me, different experience. It took my anxiety and my depression to a completely different level. But nowadays I tend to handle it with music.
When it comes to depression, yes, I've had depression for a very long time. It started basically where I come from. So I come from a home where I have a autistic little brother, which is not really his fault, but my father left the picture when I was in 5th grade, so I had to basically grow up very fast because I had to help out my parent. So it was just basically my big brother left the picture because he went to the Air Force, and it was his dream. He always wanted to go to the Air Force. So it was just me, my mom, my little brother. And when he was a kid, it wasn't that bad. But then as he got into teenagers, and you guys get it, like when you're a teenager, you want to rebel. But him, he took it a step further because he doesn't understand. He has PDD, so he's delaying his speech, but when it comes to his anger and getting what he wants, he kind of goes overboard. So I grew up my entire life with waking up to screaming and not really having a normal childhood life. I mean, yes, I did activities thanks to my mom. I did activities like every kid should have, but when I went home, it's a totally different story. Good at hiding it, I had to, but when I got home, it was like screaming every day, and then living in a house with holes in the walls because of my little brother. So including that, because of that, I developed PTSD, which I go to therapy for, which really helped a lot, but it still hits me to this very day. It bothers me hearing a phone ring, hearing a hard slam, and we all go through stuff, but it's really hard.
I believe I have it more for the entire year. Seasonal really doesn't bother me too much. I also have severe panic disorder. I have severe anxiety disorder, and I am bipolar.
Honestly, the past couple Christmases for me have been difficult. My family members have struggled with addiction, and there were times. You're gonna get tears from me. There were times right before that things occurred that you had to still like keep going with the holidays and everything. I do have children, I think I mentioned that. So yeah, I would say like the past couple holidays have been pretty rough, and I have just made it through it with my family and being able to have their support.
My rock bottom happened in several different ways. After I lost my father, I thought that I hit rock bottom a year after that when we had Christmas. Me and my mother had Christmas alone without him. So it was a different experience. However, in 2017, a couple years later, I lost my mother. So my holidays were very different over the years. I had to learn how to move on without people each year, and it was pretty difficult to deal with that. It's kind of hard to say which year was, or which time period was actually one of my worst or my rock bottom. I would probably say when my mom passed, and I would officially say that I am now moving on, trying to pass on my legacy and my name on my own.
When it comes to one of my worst holidays, it was Christmas about 2 years ago. My partner at the time, my girlfriend at the time, I was supposed to go to her, because usually how we did it, like we spent with my family and we spent with their family, typical. And like the situation was, my little brother, he had another tantrum. It was about 5 a.m. in the morning, and it got to the point where like there was an incident, and I basically broke my hand, and I didn't have a right hand for a very long time. And that was basically before my internship too. So I was kind of panicking because I had to learn how to. I went to school for graphics, so I had to learn how to use my left hand and do a bunch of designing. And I was getting ready to go to a different, ready to go to DC, and it was. I spent my Christmas in the hospital, and it was depressing because I thought I've worked so hard for everything, and I thought I lost it all because I actually still have the lump in my hand. Actually, I still feel it. It was a very, very painful experience.
The year my parents got divorced, I was probably about 13 years old, so I didn't see my father a lot that Christmas. That was really tough and sticks with me. And then the year I got divorced myself and spent that holiday season alone, which was really tough.
I think that even though I do have such an amazing support system of family and friends and a great daughter, everybody has to deal with what's in their head on their own sometimes, because the people around you aren't able to see that. They don't see the images and they don't hear the words. And when it comes to depression and any sort of mental illness, it's really a matter of putting yourself against your brain and understanding whatever it is that you're dealing with, and realize that your brain is working against you a lot of times, including the chemicals. And sometimes when you get into one of those fogs and you fall down into that, it really helps to just be like, you know, it's not the world, it's not even me, like it's literally the chemicals in my body, and I'm stronger than those chemicals, I'm stronger than those emotions. But for me, music has always been like my fallback point, because when I'm not able to express it in any other way, I can write it down in a book and then take it to practice, and then all of a sudden there's an entire song to it, and then I can get up on stage and literally scream that frustration out to people. And the best part of that is not only that it releases the tension off of my shoulders, but that I'm able to have people that will come to me afterwards and be like, you know, those words that you said, or like the emotion in your voice, like that meant so much to me. And the fact that my darkness or my sadness or my depression is able to reach out and pull other people out of theirs is like literally the biggest gift with what I do.
I would definitely thank my crew, my friends, my family, my son, his mother, for holding me down as my internal family. The music that has surrounded me has kept me alive, structured, founded. It's been very important to me, you know. A lot of people gravitate towards their blood family, and they have their traditions and their routines, where I had to adapt to the changes around me over the years. So what happened was the music and the group and family in which I created within myself ended up being my structure. So I'm very happy for that.
When it comes to coping, how I did it was like, I can tell it this way. So I remember when I graduated from college, like uh, everything happened at one time, and like I was applying for different careers, but it didn't make me happy in graphics. I lost my girlfriend because my situation at the home, and I wasn't even engaged with her, and it went downhill. Then I was going home to a very destructive home, mentally unstable. So I basically lost everything. And then one day I realized that it was at that moment where it's either I can stay in a situation where I have to deal with anger and hatred and screaming for a longer time period, or I can find a way that can get me into a better place that makes me happy. So what I did was I discovered film. I went to school for graphics and I discovered film, and I dabbled in it for a long time, and it became my life experience. And I found First Angel Media found me, and like I've been meeting a bunch of different people and realizing what it's like to have friends and whatnot. And so I never had that growing up. I was the kid that really was unpopular. I couldn't really socialize with people because of what was going on at home. So I had trust issues. But thanks to finding what makes me happy, and that push to push myself to get out of the situation I'm in, that's what helps me get out of depression and PTSD. Because it's either I can stay in that situation, or I can just, use that and put it into what makes me happy. So that's when you see a lot of my videos, it's very dark and emotional and very connecting with the audience, because I use what happened in my past and turn it into something beautiful. And that's what I do to get out of it, because I want a happier life and a happier future, and one day I'm going to have a family one day, and the last thing I want is for them to go through what I went through. I want them to be happy, but how am I going to make that happen? I will make myself, get myself on my own 2 feet, and that's how I get myself out of depression.
I get through this a lot with the help of psychiatric help. I see a therapist twice a week to get some things out. I see a psychiatrist once a month for a medicine regimen. I also try to stay active in the metal scene. I'm a faithful individual as well, so I go to church not as often as I should, but I also try to bring that in my life just for help, guidance, and positivity. And of course, playing heavy, aggressive music and writing lyrics about mental illness and struggle. And I feel that's a cathartic outlet to release from my body.
I think that when I was younger, the holidays always seemed so magical, because not just Santa and, the Christmas stores and the lights and the songs and all that, but being able to get together with like extended family and everybody coming together at my grandmother's house was just like something that I looked forward to as a child year round. And I remember things like making icebox cake in her kitchen, and like all these old school just traditions that she would have. And the best part now is that even though she's no longer with me, and that part makes me really sad, I can stand in my kitchen and like prepare a meal for, trying to get my family and friends together and make that same icebox cake, and have like know that, they've been looking forward to it all year because it's the only time I make it. And, being able to wake up on Christmas morning, and like, my daughter's 12 now, so it's not quite as magical, but when she was younger, seeing her like, just, where did all the presents come from? It was all just like really good memories, staying up all night wrapping gifts like the night before with my husband, and I would always leave it till last minute. It was like tradition to just stay up and wrap them all. So we all have good memories, and I think it's important to look back on the things that you really appreciated throughout the years and have that gratitude in your heart. And when you have that gratitude, you're like reminding yourself that it's not all bad, and it's never all bad all the time. There's always something.
I would say my best coping mechanism to surviving the holidays, moving on, is understanding what I have, my friends and my family that I do have, and my will and strength to move forward has been everything to me. My band has been the greatest family I've ever had, and they mean the world to me. And the best coping mechanism for any sadness is to create your own and build you on your own and be able to have something to hold and see and smell. And only then it seems that you're finally becoming whole with yourself.
One of my happiest memories was when I was, I believe I was in 4th or 5th grade. And I remember like me and my big brother back when, it depends, back when it was like one Christmas, and like I was opening this Christmas box and I was like, I think I know what it is. And, you know, I was trying to play with it and I was trying to figure it out. And my mom's like, Braille, just open it. And so I opened it. No, I was in 3rd grade. And then I opened it and I realized it was a PlayStation 2. Back in the day, that was like back in when I was around that time period. If you're early 2000s kid, you would understand. And I was getting that, and then I realized my big brother got the same one too. And then like me and my big brother, like we both were into Dragon Ball Z at the time, and so like I had this one game called Dragon Ball Z Budokai, and like we played it. We were like, ooh, we were like going crazy on it, and like and then we had like a happy family dinner back when my father was around at the time, and like it was the one point in my life where I felt like everything was normal, and it was a good time because my mom made the most happiest dinner. Like she always loves to cook for the family, and that's what makes her happy. And it was a good Christmas, and it was a good night. We ended just spending time together, just with laughter.
Happiest moments about the season, I would say, would be being with family, maybe that you haven't seen a lot, and seeing nephews and nieces and whatnot, and just the innocence of children and happiness that they receive, and you know, don't have a full glass of the real world yet. Just seeing that innocence and happiness makes me feel warm inside. The difference between sadness and depression, I think, is a pretty decent line. Sadness I would consider more something like the loss of a loved one, a financial situation, maybe a loss of a job, a pet, an animal. And depression, I think, is more of I'd say sadness is more of an emotion, and I'd say depression is more of a mental instability that could encompass sadness. It's something that alters your brain chemically and causes, you know, different chemicals to actually cause depression, sadness, darkness, and things of the like.
I think that's like honestly so important that you talk about the fact that it's a chemical imbalance, because so many people like don't seem to realize that, and then they're just like, well, why do I feel this way? Like, I have no reason to feel this way. Well, you don't have to have a reason. Like, that's what depression is. Sadness is you have a reason for those feelings. Depression is, it's just inside of you. And I think that being able to like know that difference, is it can be one of those factors that is to whether or not you're able to deal with it. Like, you can get help for it. And I think that, when you go to work and, you had a bad day or something bad happened and you're crying and people are like, I'm sorry that, you're sad or you're upset. But when you go to work and you're smiling all day long and you're laughing and you're joking, and then you go home and you literally just lay there, that's depression.
No one knows what's going on
Right.
exactly at all
Exactly.
at any time. I feel that sadness is an emotion that you feel. It's a reaction to things and moments in your life. Depression is sort of like the world in which you're in. Depression is something that you have to adapt to. It's not something that actually goes away. Depression is something that you are constantly battling against. So you always feel like there's a battle that you're fighting that someone else around you isn't, and that's why I guess a lot of people don't understand subjectively like your problems as opposed to their problems. At the end of the day, sadness, depression, as separate as they collide into each other and can be absolutely detrimental to a person by, holidays, any kind of moment within the year. I feel like
Even a song you hear.
a song,
Right.
Yeah, a smell.
any kind of thing, you feel sad and then all of a sudden you're depressed all day or all week.
It's that trigger
Yeah.
that you don't even see coming until it's on top of you.
It's like a wave that
Yeah.
you can't avoid.
Yeah.
It's a wave.
So, in my opinion, of like sadness and depression, when it comes to the difference, it's like when it comes to sadness, it's like something that you're more aware of and you understand the situation of what caused you to feel that way. Like he was saying, it's more of a feeling. But when it comes to depression, it's something that you're not even aware of or understand what's going on. It can also affect you physically too. It's something that you're not aware of. Why am I saying? Why do I feel like getting up in the morning? Why do I feel this way? I don't understand. It's like you're in a reality that your mind can't. Like your mind creates a different reality that you think is real, but really it could be more than what it really is, and you're unaware of it, and you think it's okay to feel this way, and you just go along with it. But no, it can take a hold of you and take over your life, and that's why a lot of people seek help when it comes to depression. Like when you feel sad, it's like, oh yeah, I'm sad, and all of a sudden you feel happy again because it's just sadness. But when it comes to depression, it's like you can many times until you get out of it. Many times when someone tries to make you feel happy, it's like it doesn't help at all, and it can go way beyond what you would realize it would do to you. And like sometimes some people can't break out of it, and it can cause you to go into supplements that you don't even want to use in order to feel that high, to be happy again. You're desperate to do anything to get out of that emotional roller coaster, and you just keep on riding, and then all of a sudden you crash.
I feel like that's what makes these holidays very hard.
Yeah.
Is because everyone is either happy or sad or trying to combat both.
Yeah.
And everyone's feeding off each other's energy. So it kind of makes it hard for everybody, family, friends, groups of all sorts.
I think that's why it's important to be honest about what you're feeling and to be honest about where you are emotionally, because if you're walking around with this cloud over your shoulder and on top of you and you can't get out from under it, it's not fair to, expect everybody else to just realize that that's what's in your reality. Like he said, everybody's realities are different.
I find depression to be sometimes even euphoric, almost like a high you would feel from a drug, or happiness or anything like that. I also have been trying to not necessarily let depression be something that's 100% negative all the time. I try to find out that if I'm going to be depressed, for an extended period of time for the rest of my life, however long it may be, to maybe try to find positives in that, and maybe try to think that, living with depression is just not a negative cloud over you. Maybe find something in that negative cloud that you can use positively.
Like with your music,
Exactly.
using it to help others.
If I were to give any advice to anyone experiencing depression, sadness, any kind of triggering thoughts that might have them feeling off during the holidays or at any time, I would tell them to think about their greatest passion and how would they use the sadness to drive them to get there. When I lost my father, I started my band. I started writing and doing instrumentals and figuring out how to construct songs out of this sadness. And if I could look back at that person today, I would be absolutely surprised because I've lost so many people since then. I've dealt with addiction, I've dealt with sadness, I suffer from PTSD, and all of that has driven me to write every single song that I've ever made. And I'm very proud of that, and to see that other people around me in my own community and my friends and my family, my band, are able to utilize the art form that we have at our disposal. We're able to heal from those things by using it. It's kind of like handing someone a case of bullets without the gun, and you have to figure out how to use it. You gotta use what you're given to survive. That's what I would at least tell myself from back then.
I think that that makes like so much sense, and
Yeah.
being able to rise above whatever it is that's overcoming you is really important. But you have to be able to rise above it in a passionate way like that and not feel like you're pressured to rise above it, because if you're struggling with something, there are so many other people out there that are struggling too. And I know the phrase like you're not alone or whatever is so like cliche, but it's true. Like, because if you look, I don't know any of these people really.
Yeah.
And being able to come together and just listen to, the fact that we all have things that we're struggling with that are so different and put us in so similar positions at the same time. So that means like if you're struggling, there are people out there that understand your struggle too, and you shouldn't be afraid to reach out for them. And your happiness, the only happiness you're really responsible for in this life is your own. Because like I think somebody said before, if you can't make yourself happy, you're not going to be able to bring that happiness to other people. So if it takes putting it into a song, or your drum set, or your guitar, or your painting, or your writing, or whatever you're doing, just put it out there, because somebody's going to respond to it, and it's going to make you feel better too.
Advice I would give to get through the holidays or the daily grind would be to one, write things down, get things out of your body, out of your brain. The more it festers inside of you, usually in my case, the worse damage it does. A lot when I play music, when I play live shows, I get nice and emotional on stage. If you've ever caught my set, I like to get it all out on stage, let people know that I'm struggling, you're struggling, let's do it together, and sort of combine that and make a feeling of love and unity, and let you know that you're not alone. Breathing is another great thing you can do to ground yourself. Deep breathing. I like to sit in there and just 15-20 minutes into the nose, out through the mouth, and it really helps me to calm myself. And I always say, the world's a better place with everyone here and in it. So the sun will come out tomorrow, and that's always something to look forward to.
And the next day, and
and the next day and the next day.
I would say find your drive, because even though it's hard, easier said than done. It's easier said than done. Believe me, we get it. But it's either you can stay in that situation, or find your drive to get yourself out of that situation, to find your happiness, like find your passion, and whatever that makes you feel that little light inside it, because we all have that situation where we feel like the candle inside ourselves is about to go off. But we all, every once in a while, we find that one little thing that sparks that light back up. So whenever you find that spark, let that be your reason to keep going, because pain is never meant to last forever. It's only temporary. So whenever you're in this situation, just find what your drive is and your reason to want to be happy again, because you will be happy again. Will it take time? Yes. Nothing. Does it take a baby one day to walk? No, it takes some time to learn how to walk. It's the same exact thing.
Allow yourself to flourish.
There you go.
You're worth flourishing for. And your mental illness is just a mental illness. It's a part of you, but it's not who you are. It doesn't define you. You're much more than that.
And it's not a bad thing, you know, it's okay to feel that way. It doesn't make you different, doesn't make you worse, doesn't make you less of a person than
We're all
anyone
human.
else.
It's part of being a human being. You know, we're all gonna have our moments, but don't let that control you and define you. You know.
And if you keep getting up and you keep going, like they're saying, and thriving, then actually it just makes you a hell of a lot stronger.
So we wanted to take a moment and thank you for watching. One of the reasons that our companies blend together for Saved by the Scene documents
And Ambriek Creations.
is, you know, so many people go through mental illness, grief, depression,
Yes.
and we've been through it too.
Oh yes. But the music scene has helped. Like, it's helped us through a lot of tough times in our life. People don't understand how much, especially when it gets to me also when they try to take music out of the schools and the programs, because no one really understands like how beautiful music can really, anything in the creative field can really change a person's life. But yet people think, oh, they don't need that. They can do that themselves. Some people can't even afford to do it themselves. So why take it out the school system? Why take it out at all? It's not harming anyone, you know?
One of the things that we were talking about off camera are the ways that music has healed us, the times that we remember really finding ourselves lost in it. And you just watch 4 basic strangers get together with their stories. Music heals, music saves, and
We've been saved by the scene.